The 2024 presidential election is over. Now what? Part 2. Hello, and welcome to the My Father Said podcast, where we discuss all things faith, finance, and family. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. I'm both a father and a son.
Hey, I'm Robert. I'm his dad. I'm his daughter's granddad. And, I'm just dad to a lot of people.
Two people.
Yeah, to people, to a lot of people, for the people. I'm dad. Make dads great again.
Oh, and if you are tuning in with us for the first time, this is the second part of a two-part video where we were talking about the election. If you guys were paying attention to the last one we did, we said in the podcast we released, hey, when this comes out, the election will be over, but we're not really sure if we'll know who the president is. Well, here we are, and Donald Trump won. We knew that. We found that out election night. I think about 3 a.m. they called it.
Yeah, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
I think someone dropped the ball somewhere. Even though they are still counting Senate and House seats in, I think, 8 states at this moment here, over a week later. It's funny how they know who the president is, but they don't know who these House or Senate seat representatives will be.
Well, yeah, they got to figure out where to send the fake ballots.
Yeah.
You got to do that smart.
Yeah. I mean, a sensible person would ask out loud for someone to hear, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't understand how Florida and Texas, as big as those states are and as how many people they have, that they can get everything done election night. And then there's these other states that can't do that are much smaller.
Well, that's because they only count the ballots that are in red counties. They don't count ballots that are in blue counties because those don't matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because, that's
apparently
Texas
that's how
is a
that
red
works.
state. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently that's how that works.
Well, cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and get into it. What we wanted to talk to you guys about today was, okay, hey, now we know who the president's going to be. We know how Congress is going to look. What does that mean? What could that mean? And what's happened since Trump took office? So
It means happy day.
happy
Right?
day.
Happy days ahead. All our problems are solved. God has given us Trump, and the world is fine. We're going to have world peace. We're going to have climate control is going to be gone away. We're going to have a wall up. It's already been built right now. It's on the border of Texas. It's tall and it's thick, and it's built with some material where you can't shimmy up the side of it. I mean, everything is good now because Trump has been elected. Oh, happy day. Or is it?
I think it is. We can just go ahead and end the podcast right now.
Yeah. Or is it? Or is it? I mean, does all of your troubles disappear?
No. Milk's still what, $10 a gallon or whatever it is? So.
Wow, you can get it that cheap. It's already, see, the Trump effect's already taken place.
It's already working. It's already working. So a couple of things we wanted to talk about. We wanted to take a step back and compare the layout after this election to when Trump took office the first time. So President Trump just won. He's the 47th president. Republicans have the House and they have the Senate. Back when Trump got elected the first time in 2016, he won the presidency, and then the Republicans won the House and the Senate. In 2018, when they did the midterm elections, the Republicans lost the House, retained the Senate. So then for the last 2 years of his presidency, Congress was split. And if you'll remember, we had talked about some of the statistics. The market actually does best when Congress is split. Mm-hmm. And if we look at it, the best 2 years of Trump's first presidency, 2019 and 2020, when Congress was split, he had the best returns. In 2019, he had a 28.8% return, and in 20, the market had a 16.2% return. those were the best 2 years of his 4. Congress was split. Another thing, 2017, market was up 19.4%. 2018, it was down 6.2%. That averages out to about 14% per year, which is right on track with, the average that we talked about when Republicans have control of the presidency and Congress.
Yes. But see, all of that's going to be thrown out the window because we're getting ready to go in World War III. I did something last night that I haven't done in, a few years.
Registered for the draft.
No, not that. I actually sit down and I watched news last night.
Oh, why'd you do that?
I asked myself that when I finished because a headline picked up. It said World War III with China is imminent. And I thought, China? I thought it was Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
So I turned on the program. I watched it, and I thought, oh, boy, here we go again. Trump's supposed to fix all of this. So, why is it starting out with these headlines? I mean, I thought it was the Attorney General, Gates, and, you seen today where Gates is
He's withdrawn.
He's withdrawn, and the reason he's withdrawn is because somebody there has threatened to unseal his ethics reports and make them public. They didn't say that, but that's why. So, that cat's maybe got some dirty laundry.
Maybe that, or John Thune, who's going to be the Senate Majority Leader, he's been, against Trump during his first election, and he's been pretty outspoken about it. He may have just said, hey, look, it's not going to happen. Trump wants it to happen. It's not going to happen.
Nah, see, I disagree with that. I think it's the other thing. I do. I think it's the other thing. Because
hey, what happened to believing the best about people?
Well, there's got to be best in there. Yeah, there's got to be best in there. So everybody has skeletons. Apparently, Gates' skeletons might, be. Well, we'll skip that. I'm not going to go any further in that because I'm liable to get a liable suit for something that I've said.
Slander, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know the guy. I mean, I was looking forward to him going in and just throwing everything into an upheaval and watching the fallout. I was literally I was getting ready to start eating popcorn just so I could watch this take place. But now I'm kind of despondent now because he's withdrawn because I wanted to see it. I really wanted to see it. But hey, we've got Musk and we've got Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
If I said it right. We've got these guys, the Department of Government Efficiency, to where they're going to come in and throw out, what is it, the number I heard? 90% of of individuals whose jobs really are not needed.
Yeah, work in the government. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, well, that's a great way to cut the deficit.
Yeah.
Cut the spending.
Hey, but the thing is, though, if they're going to do that, they have to do that in the first 2 years because they're not going to win Congress in 2 years if they do that.
We predict today in this room, we predict that when the 2026 midterms come around, that Republicans will lose the House.
Yep.
We predict it. We're saying it right now. We believe it.
That's exactly what happened in Trump's first term.
Yes, but
midterm elections, he lost the House.
But that's not the purpose of today's podcast.
No.
Today's podcast is to talk about what we should reasonably anticipate. This isn't a prediction. This isn't a spoiler. This is just what we should reasonably anticipate the market behavior to be going forward. And the good thing about it is we've got past history. Mm-hmm. The better thing about that is we got past history with the individual who was president just 2 presidents ago.
Right.
So, Ryan, where are we going with this?
Yeah, so a couple of things we wanted to highlight. A few podcasts ago, back when, I think this was back before Trump and Biden debated, we had basically said that the markets had made their assumptions that Trump was going to win the presidency. And the market had responded very well to that. Mm-hmm. And then there was some confusion when Biden dropped out and Kamala became the nominee. And so the market was then going, okay, hey, who is going to win the presidency? Do we even know if Kamala is going to be the Democratic nominee? And so there was a little bit of uncertainty there. But from the very beginning, the market had liked the idea of a Trump presidency, which is why it had started rallying after it made its predictions. And so when Trump took office, it was, they called it Wednesday morning at like 3 a.m. The next Wednesday after the election Tuesday, they had called the presidency. That next day, the Dow Jones went up 3.5%, hit an all-time high. The S&P 500 jumped up 2.5%, all-time high. And then the NASDAQ rose right under 3% and reached an all-time high. Yeah. So the market likes the idea of Trump being in office, and maybe even the fact that the Republicans have Congress. The market responded very favorably to that, which is similar to how the market behaved in 2016. Now, when Trump took office the first time in 2016, the market actually dropped like 700 points, but they didn't know what they were getting into. This time around, we do know what we're getting into, or the market knows better what we're getting into.
Did the market drop 700 points?
I don't think it was very long, but yeah, I think it dropped relatively quickly after he won. Because the market had made predictions that Hillary was going to win, and so did all of the polls.
It made the prediction that Hillary was going to win?
Hillary was going to win.
So in actuality, it made the prediction that America was going to lose. But again, I digress. I want to get back to the actual program here. This is not a political podcast as much as Ryan is trying to make it a political podcast.
You know, it feels like we've done quite a few of those in
this
the,
is
the
on
recent
faith,
months.
family, and finances. So
and fiscal policy.
And fiscal policy.
There it is.
As long as it begins with an F. Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah. It's on freedom. Yes.
Yeah.
And finally, America is made great again and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, so, you think about the other thing, too, that I think has helped with this market that we're in right now since the election is that the market likes knowns. Mm-hmm. It doesn't like unknowns. Mm-hmm. And I think the market's even acting favorably because it's already seen Trump under one administration.
Yeah.
And so it has an idea that, well, hey, this is how he behaved. This is how he governed the first go around. This is how he's going to govern the second go around. Although I do believe in the first couple of years, there's going to be a lot of upheaval at the government level this time that he did not do the first time. I don't know if it's vengeance. I don't know if it's retribution. I don't know if it's now he knows what he's doing. The first time by his own admittance, he didn't even think he was going to win. So winning caught him by surprise.
Right.
So he's had several years now to think, well, if I can win again, this is how I would do it. And apparently he is coming in, and his first promise on draining the swamp, now he's had time to think, okay, this is how you drain the swamp.
Yeah.
And that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
That's going to be real interesting to see. Like I said, I'm so disappointed that Gates withdrawn, even though I don't know anything about the guy. But in government, when a whole bunch of people don't like him, I like him. Yeah, that's what I have found out. I like him. If everybody is against him, I'm for them. I mean, that's just, I have found that to be the case. Because again, I am bent determined on my time of being a trustee and going through what I had to go through to be appointed to a trustee seat. I got to see how both parties worked, and I say that in quotation marks, how they worked together to accomplish my appointment. And literally, I felt like I needed to go take a shower after that experience. Because and even at that level, it was, that's why I've always said it, and I'll say it to the day I die. A politician, and y'all listen to me out there in podcast land, a politician could care less about you. All they want is your vote, and they want you to vote them in time and time again. All they care about is their seat. You are just a letter. You're a D or an R. That's all you are. Beyond that, you're irrelevant. And that's my opinion. Ryan's got a political buddy he's going to have come on one day eventually, and I hope that cat's listening to this podcast because I want him to understand what he's coming in here, because I will be looking at him with the evil eye, like, yeah, you're not telling us the truth. I mean, it's going to be the case.
You're not. Well, listen to all the other people that were thinking about getting on the podcast, and now they don't want to because you're going to give them the evil eye.
Well, hey, it is what it is. It's how does a politician? How does a politician literally, how do they, when they're running, their ordinary Joe, they might be worth $500,000. Mm-hmm. And then 4 years later, they're up into multi-millions. I mean, to me, the best investment program that's ever existed
get into politics.
Is getting into politics. I mean, literally, when you stop and you think about the growth of these people's net worth over a short, that AOC, mm-hmm. I mean, I hate to say it to you, Ryan, but she's making you and I look bad. Because if our returns could be like her return has been.
Oh, we'd be doing real good. We'd be in politics.
We'd be in politics. I guess that's the best way to say it. That is the best way to say it. And what we're talking about has not a darn thing to do with today's podcast.
So, all right, going back to the meat of the podcast. So the market responded very favorably to Trump winning, or I guess just the Republican sweep. It responded very well to that. A couple of reasons is during Trump's first term and as he was running for the second term, a lot of what he has said has been very friendly in the realm of small businesses, middle-class family income, and corporate taxes, namely trying to lower all of those taxes so that people are getting more money. If you'll remember back when Trump had his first term, he did the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which mm-hmm. basically lowered a ton of your taxable income. It just mm-hmm. lowered those brackets, or increased them rather. And that was really good. And that was actually supposed to sunset, or I think it is going to sunset.
Well, he's going to extend them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that'll be, and so that's another good thing. The market will respond well to that. And that's been a lot of the driving factor of why the market has responded, or why we think the market's going to continue to respond, is a lot of what he has said and a lot of what he did in his first term was just very friendly to business owners, corporations, and just the middle-class family. So,
good deal. We got this awkward silence. Where are you going with this?
Well, that's what I was going to talk about with the reasons why it went up. Now, okay, yeah. Potential pros and potential cons of him taking office. So you've got one side that thinks he can't do anything wrong and everything he does is going to turn to gold. And then you've got another side that thinks, hey, everything's going to be bad. Tariffs are bad. We're going into World War III. And so is there any validity to either one of those? Maybe. So some of the pros of Trump taking office is, again, the lower tax rate, deregulation. I think that Department of Government Efficiency, part of that is to figure out ways that they can get rid of some of that red tape, get rid of some of that regulation. That'll make it easier for companies to operate.
You see, I think that's just his method of draining the swamp. Yeah. They can do it under the wording of, hey, we're going to improve efficiency, we're going to reduce red tape, we're going to cut red tape, get rid of regulations. I think he's figured out how to drain the swamp.
I hope
the best way to drain the swamp is to get rid of all the easy water, and then you can see what's still down there, got the roots in the ground. And then he can go after them, the Chuck Schumers and
Nancy
the
Pelosi.
Pelosi's and the McConnells and things like that. What's the crazy woman over in California? The
Nancy?
other one? No, not Nancy. Is it the one who thinks she's an Indian when it's
Elizabeth Warren. Is she in California?
Yeah, she's out there somewhere, but she's out there somewhere, Nevada, California, something like that.
What did Trump call her, Pocahontas?
Yeah, it's amazing how they become something when it's well, Kamala did it. She was If you'd listen to her, depending on
Massachusetts.
where, you depend on. She's in Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren. Oh my gosh, I thought she was out west. Well, Massachusetts, that explains that too. But anyway, well, forget what I was getting ready to say. Let's get back to this. See, I am so anti-political, and it seems to be all I want to talk about today.
All right. Some of the cons or the argument against Trump taking office is the tariffs. That's really the big thing. There is the argument out there that, hey, when tariffs increase, the cost of goods for Americans is going to increase. That's one of the arguments. Another one of the arguments that could be a potential, downside of his presidency is if he does cut spending in the government, there's a chance that the national debt will increase because they have less money to operate on. Now, I don't agree with either one of those.
But here, watch this. So see, one of the reasons for his tariffs is because you got these countries in America, American companies that are looking to go overseas to get cheaper labor.
Yep.
And things like that. So Trump is saying, well, if you go over there and you do that, we're just going to hit your product with all these tariffs. And so now you see you got these individuals, you got companies that were starting to break ground in places like China who are now saying, well, you know what, we're going to do this in America.
Yeah.
And so he's changed that around. And of course, on the red tape side, it said last night on the news that cutting the surplus government things that are going on that are considered wasteful would cut like $2 trillion a year. Yeah, a year, $2 trillion. So if you could just cut $2 trillion, how many trillion are we in debt now? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
A lot. I don't know.
Well, if you could just do that, hey man, who knows? Maybe in 15 years, if you could hold it, which would never happen.
No.
But in 15 years, you could get that deficit back down to balance.
Who was the last president that the national debt lowered? Was that Reagan?
It had to be Reagan. Reagan, the greatest president who has ever walked this earth in my lifetime. Yes, I am a Reagan disciple. Reaganomics.
All right, let me ask you a question. Trump has said things about getting rid of the federal income tax.
Yeah.
That may or may not happen. That might be far-fetched. But if that does happen,
yes,
where does Trump land on your list of all-time presidents?
Well, here's the reality. Taxes are necessary.
Oh, my gosh.
They are. Taxes are necessary. Mm-mm. Listen, if taxes were not here, the road that you drove in on, you wouldn't have it.
Oh, you mean the one that was falling apart and had a bunch of potholes in it? I wouldn't have
care,
that one.
But you wouldn't even have that. The road that you drove in here on, you would not have. A lot of the services that are available to you, you would not have. Taxes are necessary. The defense for our nation would not be possible without the taxpayer dollars. So no, Ryan, taxes are necessary. Now you got to rephrase the question if you want to get my true feeling. Taxes, the way that our government treat taxes is ridiculous. That's the waste that he's talking about. They showed last night, I was looking at it, and there's a test that was done. Our government spent, I'm going to have the number slightly wrong, I know, but they spent, I think, $200,000 to see how tequila would affect lemon fish. Literally, how tequila would affect lemon fish.
Hey, real quick, not to derail whatever that thought was, but
it's government waste.
Scott just gave me something to look at. So the last presidents to lower the national debt was Calvin Coolidge back in 1923 to 1929.
100 years ago.
It decreased by about $6 billion. All right. And then Bill Clinton. Wow.
Clinton did some good stuff.
No, it said Bill Clinton slowed the national debt, but did not lower it. Reagan did not lower the deficit. So
Yeah. Clinton did some good stuff. He did. I mean, he really did. I'm going to give him his due. He did some good stuff.
Now, to, get a little personal, so Mom had breast cancer just a few years ago, and they attributed some of that to like when she worked at Savannah River site.
Yes.
She got whatever the white card or whatever it's called
For asthma.
For asthma. That was something that like Bill Clinton had set money aside
Clinton
for,
set
right?
money aside, yeah.
So that's
Clinton, just like all politicians, has some questionable moments ethically. But
like what?
I'm not gonna go there. But he did some good things while he was in the White House.
S&P rise 210% during his tenure.
Who? Clinton? The S&P was up 210%.
Yeah, I mean, he did some good things. I mean, you got to acknowledge when something has been successful. You got to acknowledge it, and see when you do that, then that gives you legitimate standing to call something terrible when it is. Biden, yeah, that was terrible. That guy was awful.
Here's something else to think about though. You were talking about how the market likes the known. Not all of for the market, not all of Biden's years in the presidency were bad. If Biden were to win, would have ran for a second term and won, do you think the market would have liked that because he was known?
No.
Really?
No, I don't, because the way it reacted when Trump was running against him, the market clearly favored a Trump presidency.
Yep.
And just think how the market would be today. Did you see the interview that they had with Biden, I think a day or two ago? He was down, in South America somewhere.
I don't think I saw that one.
Well, he's standing up. He says something, and he turns around and he walks into the forest. I mean, he walked into the forest. And so the running joke is, where's the president? He's out in the woods somewhere. I mean, this guy doesn't, bless his heart, he's got issues, and I'm not making fun of him, but he really doesn't know if he's coming or going.
You think Biden voted for Trump?
Yeah.
Did you see what his wife wore? That all red pantsuit?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think he did. I think when Pelosi led the treason on him, what do you call it? Mutiny on the bounty.
Yeah.
When Pelosi led the mutiny on him and stabbed him in the chest, I think Joe had, with what little bit he had left, he was a crotchety, angry old man, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you, little girl."
Yeah. I think it was set in stone. Do you remember that interview where he was talking to blue collar workers somewhere, and somebody was like, "Put on the Trump hat," and he put it on, and he was grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah.
He's voting for Trump.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right.
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
I think that they recognized that the only way that they were going to be able to contain him would be to lock him in a room and keep him in there. But somehow or another, somebody gave him a key.
He got out. Yeah.
And he got out.
Scrappy old man.
Yeah, and with what little bit he had left in him, he's like, "I'm gonna get him.
That's funny.
I'm gonna get him." And whoever he saw was his enemy. So surrounded him by the Democrats, and he said, "Y'all are my enemy."
So now, with that being said, with we knowing that the Republicans have, all of Congress, they have all of the presidency. There are, potential pros, potential cons of Trump's presidency. Should people get into the market? Should people get out of the market? If they're already in, should they stay? What do we think?
People should follow their plan because, again, I know we've laughed and cut up a whole lot. This podcast has been probably the most laid-back podcast we've had since we've been doing them. And
mainly because we didn't actually know that Trump was going to win. We had figured that'd be sometime next year.
Yeah. So, but all of that being said, it's best for investors to remember money is going to go where the opportunity presents itself. Mm-hmm. Money doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Mm-hmm. It doesn't care if you're black or white. It doesn't care if you're straight or if you're not straight. It doesn't care. Money wants to go where money seize the opportunity. History has shown that to win in the market, you got to stay in the market.
Yeah.
You can't time it. We've done podcasts that shown that if you only invested when your political party was in charge, how much money you lose just by not being in the market fully. So we'd say the same thing to I'm going to put it this way, to our Democrat friends. We're going to say to them, just stay in the market.
Yeah.
Your money doesn't care who's in charge. So don't let your personal politics interfere with your investment strategy.
Yeah.
Stay focused. Say the same thing to our Republican friends.
Yeah, in 2 years. In 2 years,
Yeah.
leave it alone.
Yeah. To our Republican friends, do not allow the Trump effect to derail you off of your investment strategy. Because what goes up goes down. What goes down comes up. You've got to be in to take advantage of all the cycles of the market. So don't get caught up in the noise. Stay focused. Know your plan, and that's how you stay focused. You got to know your plan.
Well, how does somebody get a plan, Dad?
Well, whoever you have managing your investments. Because we cannot assume that everybody who's listening to this utilizes the services of the Templeton Group.
Sure.
Whoever you are using, you should have sat down with them before now and shared with them what it is you would like to see your money accomplish. And I don't mean the obvious duh moment where it's like, oh, or grow. No, that's not how this works. The way you've got to do this is you've got to sit down and you've got to map out a destination that you want to be at some point in your life. And then you got to sit with a professional and say, all right, this is what I've got to work with. How do I get there? And then you and that professional put together a plan, a strategy that you commit to following. If it's raining, if it's sunshining, if it's freezing, if it's burning up, it doesn't matter what the weather is doing. You stick to the plan. If the advisor advises you to change vehicles or change directions, maybe change a route, question them. It's your money, but you ought to have a real good reason why you're not going to follow them. I mean, after all, that's why you hired them.
Right.
So that's how you do that. If you're out there and you're making your decisions based off of cable news network and your favorite program, MSNBC, which thankfully I've heard that's fallen off the market now, thank God. But if that, or if it's Fox, which isn't too far off from them either. But if you're getting your investment advice from your cable news network, well, I want you to know you're going to live a life of misery, and you're going to be caught up in all that emotion. And I mean, it's amazing. I just mentioned I did something. I watched news here in the last week. Haven't done it in a few years, and it instantly came back to me, the stress level.
This is why I stopped doing that.
This is why I stopped. It's just like, quit watching this stuff. But I watched it long enough to find out that MSNBC is absolutely collapsing, which I think is the best thing to happen to America since Kamala lost the election.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, with that has been another episode of the My Father Said podcasts. I am one of your hosts, Ryan.
Hey, and I'm his dad. I'm Robert. I'm the one that is I'm the mature one who rants about politics. He is the immature one who's trying to keep us on focus.
There you go. So if you guys would like to reach out or you need anything from us, feel free to do so. Our contact information is going to be in the video or the podcast. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time.
All right, out of here. Bye.
The opinions voiced in this video are for general information only and are not specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful.